In the previous episode, we have suppressed the resistance and hostilities that our trading partners have shown. We have also uncovered their positions and established our foothold by conquering their outposts. We were also able to build a fleet that would enable us to secure the Nile Delta and allow us to conquer further. Welcome everyone. Right now we are in the city of Heliopolis, around 2500 before Christ. And the objective is to capture by converting the stone thrower and bring it to our town center. We need to use priests to convert enemy units, research at the temple to upgrade the priests, mine gold to replace killed priests. Alright. The Egyptian culture is flourishing and the population is growing. In order to provide for the administration of the kingdom and serve the gods, new professions have been established. Scribes and priests help the pharaoh in its dealings with the military, the people and the gods. These new specialists have quickly gained prominence and become vital to Egyptian civilization. In the north, west of the Nile Delta, scouts report Libyan raiding parties are approaching one of Egypt's most sacred cities, Heliopolis, built to honor the sun god Ra. As the lector priest of the city's main temple and army scribe of the pharaoh, you are commanded to stop these raiders at all costs. The priests in the city have offered their services to support the army. However, you must be wary of the Libyans who bring a siege engine with them to demolish the city's walls. This machine could be useful for our own armies. So instead of destroying it, the pharaoh has ordered you to capture the stone thrower and bring it to the town center at the Heliopolis, within Heliopolis. To convert an enemy unit, click a priest, then right-click the unit to convert, or click the convert button and then click the enemy unit to convert. The unit is converted to the priest's civilization. Researching afterlife at the temple, increase the range of priests for converting military units. Researching monotheism at the temple lets the priests convert buildings or enemy priests. I don't know if it's applicable to Egypt, well, at least ancient Egypt. Let's see, to convert buildings, the priest must move adjacent to the building. Boats are twice as resistant to conversion as other units. Chariots are also resistant to conversion. Researching astrology at the temple lets priests convert units more quickly. Priests must rejuvenate their strength after attempting a conversion. In other words, they have a cooldown. The faith percentage is shown at the status box at the bottom of the game screen. Well, researching fanaticism allows priests to convert their faith more quickly. Priests do not automatically convert nearby units unless they are attacked. When the priest has converted a unit, he stands idle until given another command. If a priest converts a light transport or heavy transport carrying units, the ship is converted but its cargo is not. Converted units maintain their attributes, attack, range, etc. at conversion. They cannot be upgraded. Technologies you research do not apply to converted units, except monotheism, astrology, fanaticism, ballistics, and sagecraft. Priests cannot convert town centers, wonders, or allied villages, military units, or buildings. So no friendly conversions, only hostile one. So what are the counter units? In this game, every unit has its weaknesses and counters that prevent it from dominating the match. A good example of this is the tool age is the bowman. This tool-age ranged unit is quite cheap and can easily hit and run enemy units, making it very difficult to beat when in large numbers. A good answer to this a high number of bowmen are slingers. Slingers can be built at the barracks, costing food and stone. Aside from strong pierce armor, the slingers also have a hidden attack bonus against all ranged units, making them the perfect counter for a large number of bowmen. You must convert the stone thrower and then prevent it from being destroyed by the enemy before you can move it to your town center. One possible strategy is to use your resources to build a large force to destroy all units guarding the stone thrower before your priest converts it. Another option is to approach more slowly and use your priest to convert the supporting enemy units one by one before converting the stone thrower. If your original priest is killed, you can mine the deposits of gold in the area to create additional priests. The enemy has many bowmen, so it's a good idea to train several slingers to protect your priests, since slingers are strong against other ranged units, such as bowmen. The Egyptians developed a rich and varied religion based on the worship of around 2,000 gods and goddesses. Some of these deities were worshipped throughout the country, some by a specific town, and others within the home. Many of their religions and their religious beliefs were linked to the sun and the Nile, the two entities most responsible for the agricultural bounty that was the basis for Egypt's relative affluence. The pharaohs, with the help of priests, conducted rites throughout the year to ensure the regular flood of the Nile and movements of the sun. For major deities, great temples were built. A temple was not a place of worship, rather it was considered a home on earth for the god or goddess to which it was associated. The cold statue representing the deity must only be shown a few times each year at special festivals. Offerings brought to the temple were collected by priests and priestesses. The people would pray to a statue of the pharaoh because it was believed to possess divine powers and might intercede on behalf of the petitioner. Questions for the god or goddess were passed to priests or priestesses for reply. One of the most unique religious events in the Egyptian history happened during the New Kingdom. Amenhotep IV, presumably the father of the famous Tutankhamun, created a cult around Aten, the sun god. Amenhotep IV named himself Akhenaten in honor of the god, and while he still acknowledged the existence of other gods, he only worshipped Aten. This created a quasi-monotheistic religion in Egypt. The impact of this new cult was very limited, and after his death it disappeared as quickly as it had appeared. The decline of the Old Kingdom happened during the 6th dynasty, 2345 through 2181 before Christ, when the power of the pharaoh gradually weakened in favor of regional governors. Internal disorders and a serious drought combined with unusually low Nile floods were the final blows to the decaying kingdom. The Old Kingdom period was followed by the first intermediate period, during which Egypt was divided for over a century. Amenhotep IV, as previously mentioned, was known as Akhenaten. He was known for his religious reforms, which marked a major departure from traditional Egyptian religious practices and beliefs. Akhenaten is often referred to as the world's first monotheist, as he attempted to impose the worship of a single deity, the sun god Aten, on the entire Egyptian empire. He went as far as to change his own name from Amenhotep to Akhenaten, which means servant of Aten. Akhenaten's religious reforms caused a significant stir in the ancient world and were seen by many as direct challenge to the powerful priests of the traditional gods. So the establishment of Egypt at the time. He was also known for his unique artistic style, which was characterized by a departure from the traditional depictions of the pharaoh or previous pharaohs and gods. As for his new capital city, Akhenaten which was built specifically for the worship of Aten. However, Akhenaten's reign was short-lived, and his religious reforms were eventually reversed after his death. Nevertheless, his legacy lived on as he remained one of the most fascinating figures of ancient Egyptian history. So whether you're a history buff, a lover of religious history, or just someone who loves a good story, the tale of Akhenaten is definitely one worth learning about. Now, in the ancient Egypt, the term Libyan raiders refers to the nomadic tribes from the western desert regions of Libya, our adversaries, who were known to raid the Egyptian border settlements and disrupt trade routes, which they had done in the previous episode for sure. These raiders were a constant threat to the stability and security of ancient Egypt, and they required the Egyptian army to be on high alert at all times. Imagine, if you will, a land of rolling sand dunes and sun-baked rock formations stretching out as far as the eye can see. This was the world of the Libyan raiders, a fierce and independent people who lived off of the land and were not afraid to take what they needed from others. And one day, they set their sights on ancient Egypt, a rich and prosperous land filled with wealth and resources. With their weapons in hand and their camels loaded with supplies, they rode out from the desert, daring to challenge the might of the pharaoh's army. So the Egyptians were caught off guard by their raids, but they were quick to respond. They mustered their armies and rode out to meet the raiders in battle, like we're doing right now, determined to defend their borders and protect their people. The clashes between the two sides were fierce and intense, with neither side backing down, well, to the detriment of our adversaries. Despite the bravery of the Egyptian soldiers, the Libyan raiders were cunning and resourceful. Well, they created a stone thrower. They knew the land, and they knew how to strike quickly and then disappear back into the desert before the Egyptian army could catch up. In the end, the Egyptians were never able to fully defeat the Libyan raiders, but they did manage to negotiate treaties and establish trade agreements that helped to keep the peace and secure their borders. So, there you have it, the story of the Libyan raiders, a tale of bravery, cunning, stone throwers, and the eternal struggle for control of valuable resources in the ancient world. Boy, this priest is annoying. He's probably converted several of our villagers away from the 2,000 gods that the society worships. What's interesting is that the priests of ancient Egypt were a very powerful and influential class of people who played a crucial role in the religious, social, and political life of the kingdom. They were responsible for overseeing the many temples and shrines dedicated to the gods, and they acted as intermediaries between the gods and the people. Oh, there goes another one. Think of the priests as the ultimate multitaskers of the ancient world. They not only performed religious ceremonies and offerings to the gods, but they also acted as educators, healers, and advisors to the pharaohs. In many ways, the priests were the keepers of the knowledge of ancient Egypt. They were trained in the arts, science, and literature, and they were responsible for preserving the records of the kingdom and passing on their knowledge to the next generation. But the priests were... Alright, as I'm talking about the priests, my people get converted. But the priests were more than just scholars and holy men. They were also incredibly wealthy and influential. They controlled vast lands and resources, and they wielded considerable political power. Many pharaohs sought their support and advice. The priests were often very instrumental in shaping the policies and decisions of the kingdom, so they were like grey cardinals of the time. Curiously enough, in ancient Egypt, society was divided into several classes, each of which its own level of wealth and status, like any societies, I guess. The pharaoh and the royal family occupied the highest level of society, followed by the nobility, the priests, and the scribes. Below them were the farmers, laborers and artisans, who formed the bulk of the population. The pharaohs and their families were incredibly wealthy. Their access to vast resources and holdings, including gold, silver and precious stones. Their wealth was evident in the grand palaces, monumental temples, and lavish tombs they built for themselves, which were adorned with gold, silver and precious gems. The nobility also enjoyed significant wealth, as they were often landholders and high-ranking officers and officials with access to the riches of the kingdom. They lived in large estates and were surrounded by servants and slaves who attended to their every need. The priests were also well off. As mentioned previously, they had control over vast lands and resources as well. Many were wealthy landowners, and they used their wealth to build magnificent temples, shrines, and other religious structures that dotted the landscape of ancient Egypt. The scribes, who were responsible for maintaining the records of the kingdom, also enjoyed a high level of wealth and status. They were highly educated and often held positions of power in the government and temple bureaucracy. It's worth noting that while the wealth of these classes may seem impressive in the context of ancient Egypt, it would be difficult to compare it directly to modern wealth. However, one could argue, in terms of the relative wealth and status within their own society, that pharaohs and the nobles of ancient Egypt were comparable to modern royalty and the super-rich, say billionaires. Overall, ancient Egypt society was hierarchical and highly stratified, with wealth and status being closely tied to one's social class. However, despite the inequalities, and the pharaohs, nobles, priests and scribes all played important roles in the social, religious and political life of the kingdom, and their contributions helped to shape the rich cultural heritage of ancient Egypt. Alright, by now we have subdued the Libyan resistance and their camp has been decimated. I think there's only one building remaining. I just wanted to explore the map to see what goodies are there. Well, looks like we have explored the entire map. Let's see, let me destroy all the Libyan buildings and see if that would gain us a victory. I need to destroy their barracks first. They started out very strong. I was actually concerned that I was gonna lose my camp, but yeah, we have counterattacked successfully. Let's get some wood. Nice. Let's do the uprising against their temple. Let's see, once we destroy this town center, I'm gonna send the regular army so that we are able to destroy their temple much more quickly. You can say that in the south it's a grassroots movement to rebel against the Libyans. I think that's it. Thanks for tuning in. I was talking a lot about the ancient Egyptian society and the different classes. Oops. Yep. So thanks for sticking around. Hope you enjoyed the content and hope you enjoyed the stories too. If you learned something new, please let me know down in the comment section below. And see you in the next episode.
You have saved Heliopolis from the Libyan marauders, and the gods are pleased. The pharaoh is grateful and has promised to fund the creation of a statue resembling your visage. It is an honor not usually bestowed upon someone other than the pharaoh himself.
Please like this video and subscribe. Thank you.